Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Crossing Realms Together. I am one of your hosts, the Reverend Rob Lee from Tarot with an Attitude. And right over here, my beautiful co-hostess with the mostest, the lovely Miss Laura Van Tyne from the Karmic Path. How are you tonight, Miss Laura?
Thank you. I'm doing well. I got to be honest, today was a bit of a struggle. The Schumann resonance was through the roof, and I've just been tired and lethargic. And I'm like, as I told you, I showed up a little bit late. It's like, oh yeah, because I've been working on a presentation. But I'm good.
We're good.
I don't
We're
know
good. We're good.
how many other people out there are kind of feeling it today, right?
Yeah, well, and today is the 7th. All right. So we've got 5-7. I hadn't even looked at it. All right. So 12 and 9 would be 21. 2 and 1 is a 3. That's a lot of energy, creative energy, moving energy, things that are happening. If we look at, 5th month, that's the month, conflict and creativity and everything else that goes with that, with us 5 people. Okay. And then the 7 is that, a lot of people say it's an unlucky number or whatnot. I don't truly believe in that. But the 7 is that stop, take a look, time to slow down. So, and that very well could be what's going on. People are getting in a roll, and that frenetic energy has just gone crazy. Then when you throw the years 9 of manifestation into it.
That's
So 5, 7, 12, 9. Yes, I was right, is 21. So relationships, new beginnings, and creativity. So that's all.
Good. Yeah, my creativity ended up with I'm totally overhauling this presentation I'm doing. It's like, why did I do that? But I'm totally excited about it.
Well, good. You're going to be doing this presentation where?
Next week at Journey to Truth. I'm talking about mind control, voice to skull technology, how the unseen energetic world impacts us, but most importantly, what can we do about it? Because I can't stand when we talk about these big, scary problems and there's no solution.
There's always a solution.
There's always a solution. We got to remember that. And you can, anybody out there can buy a virtual pass. I think they're $60 and you get everything.
Okay. So we can tune in and watch this
absolutely
virtually.
There's a lot of other good presenters too. And you can go, if you go to my website, thekarmicpath.com, on the bottom is Rebels of Disclosure Conference. Click on that. It'll take you to their website and you can buy a streamlined live stream pass.
Very good. Very good. I'm going to do that myself. So I would encourage everybody. Number one, support Laura. She's here. Okay. And with us every Wednesday night. So I'm asking my peoples and her peoples that are popping in, give this woman some support. Yeah. So let's buy a pass and find out what's going on. I have been asked, so there'll be more stuff coming with ticket sales and things like that. We just found out I have been asked back to the Off Cabot live. I'll be doing live in-person readings again. This one will not be live on YouTube. We're going to record it though, so then we can edit it and put it out and you'll be able to see it, but you will not be able to be live during the show. But that's June 29th is the first one. They've asked me back twice. And the next one is the week of Halloween. So I'm going to be doing a lot of things, and I'm being set up with different things in Salem and whatnot. So going to be an interesting October for me. So y'all be ready because we're going to be able to do this. So but the 29th live, I believe it's at 6:00 in Salem. If you're in the New England area, it's coming again. We're doing this again. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to actually change the way we do it a little bit. So people that were there before, come on back. You're going to love what we do, how we're going to change some things.
That's going to be fun. Totally fun.
We had fun last time. It was a ball, it was an absolute ball. And, at the end, I was exhausted. It took me like a day to recoup. But it is definitely see, Donna feeling tired today. A lot of people feeling it.
Yeah.
A lot of people feeling it. Up here, I don't know what the weather's doing down there, the pollen, everything, or for you over there. The with everything that's going on with the weather here, we're having rain after rain after rain, a lot of pollen, a lot of different things
Okay.
to deal with,
It's been pretty temperate, but that Schumann resonance, if we pay attention to like the space weather and stuff like that, it's been super high. I don't know if that's a part of it, but yeah. So, by the way, love your shirt, sir.
Thank you.
That's a
Yeah.
great shirt.
Another one. Had it for a while, and I was like, you know what? I haven't put this on in a while. It's spring. Spring has sprung for me. So I'm celebrating with my tropical. You can take the boy out of Florida, but you can't take Florida out of the boy. You know?
That's awesome.
And that's just so flamingos and tarot. There you go. Who would have thunk it?
That's a Vegas.
You know, I never claimed to be normal. You know, never claimed to be normal. You know, we got an interesting topic tonight. And I know there are a lot of people out here that are interested in what's happening and finding out what's going on, because we hear about spell casting a lot and we hear about karma. And you and I might differ on a couple of things tonight. So everybody pay attention. Okay.
Yeah.
But you know, it's one of those things, you know, that we're going to talk about, because they're more interactive than what people intertwined, maybe. Would you not agree than what a lot of people realize?
Yeah. Spells, spell casting, first of all, it's kind of it's like a teenage girl kind of thing also, right? But it's nothing to play with.
Right.
So just at the very basic tenet of spells, first of all, yes, we can put spells on people. However, there's a lot of karma, because what you're doing is you are removing somebody's free will. You are taking away their soul sovereignty, and you're doing it without their knowledge.
Yeah.
That
so when we dive into this, can I go ahead and say a prayer? Because I know some people are going to be a little tense, because I know we've got some witches in the audience, things like that. And I want them to understand there's no hate here, there's no love, but there is that we want people to remember what's happening when you take an action. Any action you take, physics teaches us there's an equal and opposite reaction, particularly with energy. So if you don't mind, I'd love to open us up.
A prayer of protection would be awesome, sir. Thank you.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Our most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, that divine mother, spirit, guides, angels, we say thank you for everything that you've given us. Thank you for the feeling. I want to channel what you have to say about this tonight, but I want to make sure the message that comes through is from you and not of me. Help Laura and I cast protection around us, because there are going to be some things out there, entities, whatnot, that are not going to like what we have to say. So I want to make sure nothing is permitted to anybody that's listening to the show that's not of the light. So we're calling for protection. We're calling for the angels to draw close. But most importantly, we're calling for open-mindedness and to be able to learn and understand. In everything we ask, so mote it be. There we go.
Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
All right.
I don't want people to be afraid of this, because knowledge is power. No. And we're talking about it. We're not doing those actions. There's a difference there.
Exactly. No. And one of the things, this is not a how-to course. So if somebody popped in and is ready for a how-to, there are things Laura and I could both tell you. You need to do some of that research. And if you want me or Laura to answer a question about a spell, we can do that. But one of the most important things I feel Laura covered right out of the gate. What is the spell you're looking at for? What is it geared to? Where are you putting your focus and your intention? I think that's massively important. The intention and where you're focusing.
Well, and what we're doing is manipulating. A spell is pure negative manipulating. I don't care if you say the spell is for somebody else's greater good. You have no right to decide what is or is not somebody else's greater good, right? And all the spells, thank you. Yes, we are coordinated.
I didn't realize we color coordinated tonight.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
So we have to understand that what we need to do, if we desire something, we have to go about it the right way without spiritual bypassing. So, for example, I cannot force somebody to love me, right? Excuse me, that's the big one. Wow, man, where did that
Right.
pop from, right? No, but I can't force somebody to love me. I can't force somebody to do something or think something. And a lot of times spells are like, oh, I want so and so to love me and I want to do this and that. And do you really want to put a spell on somebody to make them love you? Because does that mean they really love you? No,
Exactly.
no.
And,
And
and that's the key thing you have to remember. Like when I do my readings, and I don't know if you've been in many of my readings or I know you've been in, I've done some. We get these people that come in and they want me to say, does so and so love me? Does this, or whatnot? I could do a reading. Two things unfold though. Number one, because of my medical background or whatnot, and actual counseling therapy, things like that. I don't believe in prying into somebody's feelings without their permission. It's not right, especially it's like violating HIPAA with your doctor. Do you really want me to go in if I'm good at saying how you feel and telling person B, well, here's what's happening? Okay, maybe it's a secret you don't want out. Maybe there's something you don't want to know. And so that I that is the same thing I put with spells. Okay.
Mhm.
Now, the other thing, where I really fall in with spells is what is the intention of a spell? Now, in asking angels and guides to help someone, that is not a spell. Okay. A spell, and why don't you take that? Let's differentiate between what a spell is and how I don't do Reiki. I'm sorry, this is very near and dear to my heart.
Mhm.
I don't do Reiki on somebody that I know is sick unless they give me permission because I'm in their personal space. And that's very important.
Spiritual law says we always have to ask permission, period.
Correct.
And I think what we're going to get a little bit of is a semantics issue. So Cynthia is saying that she only does spells for protection and healing. I do a lot of elements for protection and healing too. I don't call them spells. That's just me. It's just semantics, right? What is the
Right.
meaning? So having said that, when it comes to spells, what we're doing is we're mitigating someone or something's free will. I can put a spell on a piece of property. Let's pretend that I want to rent or buy this home. Someone else has it and I'm angry and I'm going to put a spell on it. Okay. I'm going to make bad things happen. So there's many layers of this. Voodoo is a form of black magic. I'm going to call spells in general black magic. And Cynthia, I know what you're not. I know you're not creating black magic and those negative things. I think it's just my version of it. So I don't want to offend anybody either. Um, so when we do something to shift or mitigate voodoo, I deal a lot with voodoos and curses. Okay. Those are very real. There's all forms of black magic out there that are considered to be spells also. Santeria, there's even a Serbian form of black magic, Russian black magic. So there's,
Every culture, you can
yeah,
pretty well say every culture. It goes from Egypt, the Bible, every culture has had some form of black, dark magic.
yep, absolutely. Yes. And so there's many ways we do it. When I put out layers of protection, when I'm working with myself and a client, I am bringing in layers and layers of protection. It's a process I use. There's no invocation or whatever. So it's just how I do it. Okay. And so, but what I'm saying is that other people may call it that's just fine, especially those that are white witches will have a different form of language than I do. It's just the same thing, but a different widget. Okay.
Right.
Um, so when we're dealing with these elements, and there's things when I'm working with somebody and they're dealing with a curse, for example, and it can be generational, it can be new, there can be many things, but what it's doing is it's creating this weird blockage in somebody's life. And they don't know what exactly it is, or maybe they do, and they're trying to figure out how to resolve it. There's a lot of things that we can do to resolve these curses, black magic spells, etc. And so I think what we want to do is create the awareness of it. What's going on in your life where you keep hitting the same roadblocks? What is that? Maybe it's just, the cosmic 2x4 hitting you on the head. Okay. Maybe it's something deeper. Maybe it could be anything, but we got to start looking into our lives and a little bit of introspection. What are there any weird things going on in the home? Are there any weird things, movements of objects or a sootiness or a dirtiness, for example? So there's a lot we can kind of go by, but this is just information today.
Right. One of the things where spells and karma overlap, okay, has a lot to do with intention. So I want to talk a minute about karma and what karma actually is. When you literally say karma's a bitch, karma will get them. You have to be very careful, because in that you're speaking actually a negative vibe out, wishing something to come around on them, and therefore you're putting that out. And in karma is merely what it's energy balancing itself. Okay. It's trying to balance itself. So when I go, there's a difference between, well, let karma take care of it. There's a difference in that statement and not wishing anything ill on anybody and then saying, oh, you better watch out. Karma's a bitch. Okay. Now my intentions are in there. Okay. And that karmic thing, remember, karma has no personality. As much as we talk about karma and it taking things, it has no sides. It is energy balancing itself. So therefore, that's why what you dwell on, it's going to send back at you. Okay. Especially when you speak it or take actions to make it happen. This is the reason why Gillian and I and Lauren were preaching about manifesting. You have to take action, be doing something or whatnot to manifest something. Okay. Do something. All right. Action is required. The same thing with karma. Okay. Except it's more spoken word. Am I making sense so far?
Oh, absolutely. And, prayer without action is just wishing and hoping, right? We got to have an action behind it.
And when we pray for somebody, you have to remember, most Christian prayer will be like, God, so-and-so's sick. Okay. Please help them. Please intervene. They didn't ask for their prayer. Okay. But generally the prayer ends with, but your will be done, in a Christian type prayer. I want people to, I like people to pray a little differently, but this is where when we look at, we start comparing, make sure you're comparing, because you're not saying do this for this person. Okay. And even though, again, the intentions, once you turn this of you're focusing your will, now it's your will, and that energy in towards somebody, you have invaded their personal space without permission. And there's nothing wrong. Like I said, y'all have heard me on here when somebody says, do you care? I will say, do you care if I do some Reiki for you? Okay. Or whatnot. But we pray and we ask God for help if they're willing. If they're not, then okay, it's on them. No harm, no foul. So that's what I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying don't go help somebody. Okay. And you can also send them positive vibes in the healing of, you know what? I hope you find your way. I hope the doctor helps you. I hope you're getting what you need. Okay.
Right.
Is that making sense?
It is. And, a lot of times we can pray for the most optimal outcome, right?
Correct.
Somebody's sick, maybe they need their illness for some reason that we are not aware of. Maybe they came into this lifetime with a soul contract to experience a certain type of illness, so they know what it's like. Or maybe they did this so their family can know how to care for somebody. There's so many themes and variations of this. And so, praying for the most optimal outcome, the most benevolent outcome in any situation is ideal. And karma is just balance, like you said. It's balance. When things are out of balance, there's tension somewhere.
Right.
So find the tension so we can create the balance, right?
Right. And Raya, in this, I understand where you're coming from. It took me a minute for with everything for me to grab it. One of the things we have to remember is language is very important. Okay.
Yeah.
But one of the things we do, we will always say, Laura and I've done it to each other. You've done it with somebody else. Doesn't even have to be a name. Okay. I'm not understanding what you're saying. Can you spell that for me, please? Okay. That's our alphabet. Okay. We have spelling bees. Children are not up there casting spells on everybody. Okay. That's what we do in English. That's how we form writing, is through knowing how to have proper grammar and spell. So I wouldn't go that far.
Well,
However,
that's still also though, all of our names have meanings behind them,
they
right?
do. Yes, they do. And one of the things though I want people to understand, okay, in that I was going somewhere and it's just gone. It'll come back. All
It'll come
right.
back.
Yeah. Oh, I know where I was going.
Okay.
Okay. When you think of a spell, a lot of times mini spells, they give you instructional things to do. Okay. There are things that I do, okay, with sigils and whatnot. And I show people how to burn them, how to use them, what to do, what they do for you. Okay. And this is power, but it's for yourself. All right. And a lot of times it's speaking an incantation. And I want you to think about this. What is a positive affirmation? It's literally the same thing as speaking a spell. You can cast spells with no words. Everybody's like, no, I read the book. Yeah, you know why? What they're wanting you to do by speaking, by praying out loud. How many of y'all have sat down to pray? Okay. And when you do it quietly, all of a sudden your mind's like, squirrel. Okay. My Heavenly Father, God, Holy Spirit, higher power, whatever it is, squirrel. It's one of those things. Oh, the kid's got the homework to do. But when you're saying stuff out loud, okay, your brain is now engaged in it. So that's where an incantation comes in, is it helps you to literally engage your intention and your brain into it, but you actually don't need it if you study and look at it long enough. Does that make sense?
It does. And thoughts are things, and we all create these thought forms, right? And I remember years ago when I was teaching Spanish at the middle school level, I was like, gosh, it would be so great if the school could just adopt, K through 6 Spanish, right? Because by the time they got to me as a 7th grade teacher, man, we would just be like zipping along. And I was thinking about this all the time. And then one day the superintendent walks into my classroom and says, hey, we're thinking about doing Spanish K through 6. So be careful what you wish for.
You just might get it.
Because I just got it. And so anyways, but that there's something out that mind belt about our thoughts that are creating things. Teenagers are really good at thought forms. Teenagers throw their energies around like crazy. What was that old? Was it the Avatar cartoon where they're throwing the balls and stuff? And I mean, that's kind of like what these thought forms can be like. So
Yeah.
Thoughts can be things. We keep them going. I don't know how many of us have had these like telepathic insights where we're like, oh, I'm thinking about making some, I don't know, let's say it's going to be chocolate chip cookies. And the next person, it's like, oh yeah, I really wanted some, right? Somehow there's an energetic cross happening, a connection with us. So these are important elements to also think about. They're not spell casting, but it's just talks about how this can happen. And so when we're dealing with black magic and these types of things, there's a negative connotation to it, right? To cause harm. That's, I think, what we're really dealing with. And a lot of teenage girls love the concept of, spells or whatever, Ouija boards, etc. The Last Airbender. Yes, Wolf. By the way, if you haven't seen that, that's a great series. There's a lot of reality in that. So, but also let's talk about something else a little bit different. The evil eye.
And this is where I'm getting at. And this is the intention. I want people to understand. We're talking about, particularly with karma, when you're performing a spell that intrudes or is demanding an action, making him love me, making her love me, make them like me better, things like that. You are what you said, A, and I don't want this to be forgotten. That's taking away their free will. B, you are also putting out there, I don't want the truth. Okay. So that's one of the things I'm talking about with being careful. And what do I preach all the time? Intentions, intentions, intentions. So make sure you understand that I'm pro with that, whatever your intentions are or whatnot. Just be careful about violating somebody's personal space without thinking about it. And when we get into, I'm going to throw the evil eye, which Laura's fixing to talk about right now, this is going to be really good. And these are things we got to be careful about.
Yeah. And, the evil eye comes from many cultures, but when we're thinking about the evil eye, we're looking at somebody with not kind eyes, the window to the soul, right? So I'm like throwing daggers at you or whatever this is. This is a form of the evil eye. And that energy can hit people, especially we're dealing with a lot of people that have, I know I'm with you, Cynthia. I'll throw in a few bucks for that. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That just caught me.
Comments here are always priceless, and just I love them. So I love the activity here.
I know it.
I remember what I was talking about. I'm thinking about the lottery now.
We were talking about the evil. As long as you're thinking about what you're buying me, that's okay.
Okay.
You were talking about the evil eye and our intentions when we start wishing ill.
When we start wishing ill on people, there are people out there who are really sensitive and they will feel it. Right? They will get a stomach ache. They will get a headache. How many of us have gone into a room where the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife, right? What is that? That is heavy energy. And so what can we do if we're in a room where there's this heavy energy or an evil eye energy? This is the key. One of the things we can do is we can bring in the angelic realms to clean and clear the room. I'm making the request that my team of angels come into this space and remove all of the heavy energy, all that is not for my greater good right now. This works really well if you're going into a contentious meeting or maybe a family reunion or whatever. So that's one way. The other way, if you are going into a space where there's always heavy energy, Lakeside Laura, I'm looking forward to meeting you next week. Visualize yourself pouring down pink rose petals. Okay. I've got a lot of heavy energy. I'm trudging through the mud, psychically, what's going on? I'm going to visualize pink rose petals coming down and they waft down and they cut the energy. Okay. They're breaking up the energy. The energy of pink is a soft healing energy, heart chakra energy. Yes, green is heart chakra too. But when you do that, you're starting to break down this heavy energy. So when as we break it down, have the angels help to clean it up also.
Absolutely. And that's very important with Cynthia, with what we're talking about. And Freya, Gillian had something, and I think this is an interesting thing as far as especially like a self-esteem affirmation or whatnot, that when you spell your name, again, because we're speaking it, okay, you reaffirm your place in this world that you exist. Okay. So there's a whole psychology side of that I'm not going to go into. All right. But I think that this would be along the line more of when we say spell your name. Okay. It's not because I'm at DMV, it's because I'm yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I will tell people this: when you're dealing with things about spelling names and whatnot, and you're wanting something, make sure when you're speaking your name to spirit, to God, in any of these situations, use your full given birth name. All right. Because that name has power. And everybody calls me Reverend Rob. But when I'm speaking, okay, and I'm trying to manifest something, it's Robert Lee here. Sometimes I'll even say Robert T. Lee II. Okay. I am here and I'm demanding that I need this to be in front of people. Okay. And that gives power. Okay. Because your name was given to you with an intent and with power. That makes sense?
It does. And Lakeside Laura said, what about a maiden name, right? That's a good question. I think
That's your birth name. You got to remember that's your birth name. So it will always carry power. I've done some really big looking into this. At the same point, you chose a new path when you changed your name. This is one of the reasons when Gillian and I got married, I told her not to bother, but she's like, no, I'm changing my name. So, okay, thank you. Love you. Appreciate it. All right. But yet names are so you chose it. Do the numerics on it. Find out what's going on. See what because that energy generates from that. Also, you might want to do a little sitting down talking with the person to be as women or anybody changing their name. What kind of karmic debt are the Lees carrying around? Okay. I ain't gonna keep my name the way it is. Yeah. Those are some things. I don't know when I am at the DMV, I am reaffirming my existence. That's true. Yeah. And that's what now look at this. She came up with this. So this is now her nickname, Gillian Lee. Okay. And how she signs everything. All right. So all of this means something. You need to understand in your head, set the tone or whatnot. Just like you don't want to call yourself names or anything like that, And there we go. Your adopted name, all right? Absolutely. Carries power.
We come to our parents in many different ways. And adoption is one of those ways we get to our parents. And I think this becomes a personal issue is what is your relationship with the adopted family, right? And how is that? That's a great question, Cynthia. And I think there's no wrong answer for that. It's what rings true for you and the why. For anybody who's been adopted, I mean, I know a lot of people who have been adopted. I have a girlfriend of mine who went through the foster care system, and her foster parents adopted her at the age of I'm going to say 30 or 40. I mean, but it didn't matter, right? It didn't matter back then. Those were always her parents, and they just sort of made it legal. So.
Right. And Cynthia, I would say this. One of the things you need to know is like the first parts of your name in your adopted name. Okay. Who gave you what? Was it at birth? Then you changed it? That all of these things mean something. And you can combine them and find out a new path. Oh, this was my path. This was my original path. I was brought here and done this. So maybe this is why I'm getting pulled in this direction. Okay. But I'm always off over on here because those things, play a part. I'm going to do something and I hope I don't piss a bunch of people off. Okay.
Wait, I'm going to get my drink ready. Go ahead.
Get your drink ready. Okay. Keep in mind, got a daughter, one and only daughter. Okay. So I'm coming at this from a dad point of view. And what I have seen the church put her through when she was abused by, and I don't mean physically abused, emotionally abused, cheated on by her husband. Okay. A lot of that woman taking the name goes back to a very, very masculine, you're now my property. All right. And keep in mind, I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm not saying what it is, but I'm saying weigh that out. I love that my wife took my last name because she wanted to attach to me. Okay.
We have
But if it
choices.
was neutral gender, if it was neuter or gender neutral, okay, why wouldn't it be Katie Lee, which is what I thought she's going to do? Okay. Why couldn't it be Lee Katie? You know, these are things. So you're right. And I love that your heart was there. We're becoming one. So I become part of you. Okay. But keep in mind how many times a lot of things, okay, the woman has to take the action on, but the guy ain't got to do nothing. Okay. And literally to the point where somebody told my child that, well, you need to wait and see if he asks for a divorce, then you'll know it's of God. From a modern day Baptist church, I flipped a freaking switch. You know, that has nothing to do with it. Okay. And I love that you thought that, and this is the way it's coming. But these are some of the thought processes I want us to unravel a little bit and say, okay, I'm not saying drop your name and go back. Okay. But your name was power. You were born into that family. Use that name when you're figuring out life path numbers, things like that, or whatnot.
We
Does
have,
any of that?
yeah, and we're so also interconnected. So we've had past
Yeah,
those that are, with us around us, etc. And so, and
sure.
what we're talking about is that old archaicness. And I think women nowadays have that choice. Now, Donis, right? I know. By the way, Donis, I mailed you out those
Yeah,
resins, and I actually threw in something else just because I every now and then I'll throw something out with any of these orders that I get. So there's a little something else coming there.
right.
Yeah.
So good. And Cynthia, yeah, no, there's nothing wrong with using either name. Okay. That's your personal preference, and for you and Laura, even Gillian, if Gillian walked up to me and said, you know what, I think I'm changing my name back. My first aspect is how to be what I do. Okay. Why? Is there a life insurance policy involved? And is it on me? Or whatnot. So
Yeah,
yeah, I'm
right.
not saying for anybody to take any radical action.
Oh, wait a minute. And you
But
said that you were going to tick people off potentially.
well, I am
So
potentially. I always piss somebody off. That's but you
you
gotta
know,
love me in the end.
Crystal, who took on her Indian name, which is she was given an Indian name. That's, she's seeing it a new way now. And I think that's
Yeah,
beautiful and fantastic. And so we take with us what we want, as you end every show with, right?
yeah,
And, I know we're getting down in the weeds on the names, but there's a lot to it. And
yeah.
when we're looking at, I kind of want to talk about voodoo for a minute.
Go right ahead. Because I've had some voodoo curses thrown on me, boy, in my first cop job when we were out in the woods and the boonies. Oh yeah.
Oh man,
Oh
I
yeah.
know.
Stories I could tell you about that. Chicken heads and green powder and my picture cut up and all kinds.
This is real stuff. And unfortunately, people will was oh unfortunately, people will hire practitioners to do this type of damage.
Right.
And because this has been hired and it's basically a hit. They've hired a hit, right? But it's in the
Right.
etheric realms. We can still take our power back from it. We can return that energy. Okay. Return it to sender. We don't need it. There will be times where I'm working with somebody and there's a lot of different curses, et cetera, happening and there is so much intertwining. when you go back to the root cause, when you go back to the family lines, that spiritual DNA aspect of us, and I have this ability to go back and look through it, and it looks kind of like a matrix kind of thing where you've got the strings and the nods and the nodes and stuff, and some are black and some are cut off, etc. When we can work on healing that, we're removing those energetic curses, those negative vibrations that are being thrust upon us. And it's a big deal to do that.
Yeah.
It's sometimes we need help doing it, but sometimes we can just do it ourselves. So if you're doing it yourself and you're doing the research and you're figuring it out, and it's working, fantastic. If you need to find a qualified spiritual practitioner, there's nothing wrong with that, but do your homework, because we are responsible for our own soul. I want my soul to be as healthy as possible. I need to live a clean life. I need to do certain things because I want my soul health to remain intact. If I just willy-nilly go on to, Dr. Google and say curse removal, and I get like 50 names, I go, boom, this one. Do your research.
Yeah.
Don't just trust or if it's free, nothing is free. Okay. So if you're getting a curse removal for free, and there could be energy exchanges, like I'm going to do this for you, do this for me, whatever. That's not free. There's an energy exchange.
Right.
If you're getting something for free, it ain't free, folks.
Yeah.
There is a price to be paid, and you never know when you're going to be tapped out for your extortion payment, right?
Right. Exactly.
Nothing is free.
And Tootie, you asked a question about, are you saying that your name is a spell? And again, this goes back to what Freya brought up, and I think it's a very interesting thing, and we need to understand it. And I think she found a way to explain it the best. This is what I believe. So listen up, because you configure the numerology of the letters in your name. Vowels carry a different number. And if y'all want me to, we'll do a show on that one evening about the numerology of names and how that works. Okay. It's the math on it is kind of nuts. Okay. So it's not something I can just go, oh, it's not A is 1, B is 2, all the way to whatever that number is, 26, I think.
Not today it is.
Okay, today it is. All right, that's good. But this right here, and I think gets to the crux of it. Another source does an interesting take, which resonates for me personally. Your name is your first spell. And I don't think it's your spell, it's what somebody gave you. All right. Every letter holds a vibration. Okay. Every syllable is a declaration of your soul. So if my name had have literally been Bob, does my lack of, and it wasn't Robert, it was Bob. Okay. I have one syllable. This is what I'm saying. We got to be careful about how we read into things and do whatever. And just realize, I don't care what anybody says, you're special. Okay. You have greatness flooding within you. And when you connect with spirit in whatever way you do it, when you set those intentions right, things like that. But you may get a peek into your insides when you look. Your parents may not have even known why. It could have been influenced by spirit to name you what you're named. So
yeah, we can also think about this. Do we name ourselves? Do we come in with our own name and we present it ourselves? Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so knowing that sometimes we have these names and we give them to ourselves. So yeah. So no information carry. Yep. Adopted. And, Cynthia, we all have these stories, and we get to our families, our birth families, our adopted families, even our families that we may resonate more with than, for example, I'm a child, but I really have clung on to my neighbors because I felt like they were my family too. I mean, there's so many different
Right.
energies and themes and variations of family.
Exactly. And one of the things I want you to understand here too, about this whole name thing. Remember, none of us at any point, for the sake of, if we go off of where we got our true name, they didn't like, there was no forwarding address say, hey, we want to make sure you like this. Okay. Because I grew up hating my middle name. It's as Southern can be.
Ooh, now
Okay.
I want to know.
I hated it. Yeah. My wife will tell you. It's just been lately where I finally, embraced it. All right. But this is one of those things. So what is that meaning? What is there? Look things up, find out. And it's only going to carry as much weight as you give it, just like curses and things like that. Now, one of the things, the return to sender, okay, spells, these are where you got to be careful, because you're concentrating on, you did bad to me, I want to put it back on you.
We can also return the energy, right?
Exactly.
Returning the energy, yeah, which is a return to sender thing.
But be careful about how you're doing it. Yes.
Yeah, you don't want to do it with anger within you, right? So we're returning this energy. When we can take our emotions out of the situation, okay, out of the equation, remove the emotions. This is key, because our emotions are tied to our mental body and our physical body, and the emotional system is what connects them. And this is what the dark side relies upon, by the way, to infiltrate us, are our emotional centers.
Right.
And so when we can detach from those emotions, and the work I do, I hear a lot of horrible things, okay? Satanic ritual abuse victims I work with, everything in the gamut. But I have to practice detached compassion. I have to say, this is not mine, and I have to return it to sender. Or at times, sometimes it's better if I don't return to sender, but I remove that energy ball or whatever that energy is completely and transmute it to neutral, or hand it off to the angels, because now it can't come back to get someone else.
And that's where I'm at. When returned, I don't want to return. The only time I'm returning to sender is when you stand in front of me and we're going to go. Okay. You given the go word, or I have to protect my wife, my kids, something like that. Because many, many moons ago, I was not the nice guy that I am now. And even right now, if we have an issue at a restaurant or somewhere else, my wife will lovingly reach over and pat me on the arm and say, I got this. Okay. Right in front of them. Okay. And then when she doesn't got it, she will look them in the face and say, now we have a problem. Or you have a problem. Once I tell him to handle this, every eye in the place is going to be looking at all of us. And because I'm just like, okay, I'm not going, I hate bullies. I can't stand bullies, and somebody that, I just don't like it. Okay. But one of the things I can do when somebody sends love, and if you remember, even in the Bible, okay, turn the other cheek. Okay. Somebody sends something bad at me, I can remove it. Is it send that back to them? Or do I have a choice at that moment to go, you know what? I don't know what's going on in this person's life. They're angry, something's mad, or something I've done. Please send them love and open up a doorway for me to be able to communicate with them so we can fix this. See the difference?
Oh, absolutely. And it also depends on those moments, how fast we have to react or act to a situation, right?
Yeah.
If I go shields up and something's gonna bounce back, that's a
Right.
possibility. Especially if you're in the city and, I'm gonna say a fentanyl addict comes at you pretty strong. They're always inhabited by demonic entities, unfortunately.
Yep.
You gotta go shields up, you gotta, send it back, etc. So there's cause for theme and variation, but we have to be judicious and centered, and we have to take that moment to pause. When the biggest
Yes.
asset we have is our intuition, right? And so instead of a knee-jerk reaction, if we take a moment and we pause, we take a breath, simply the action of taking a breath gives us enough time to collect ourselves, right? Are we
Right.
going to throw a punch, or are we going to just kill him with a smile, right?
Yeah. Can I cross the street? And I think about that more often, and my wife knows a little bit about what I'm capable of. So she will be right there. That's the reason she will intervene as much as she can up front, because why I preach about responding rather than reacting. And I think we respond instead of reacting by doing what you said, Laura, and taking the emotion out of our reaction. We can then respond to it. Well, wait a minute. Why do you feel that way? Well, I'm sorry. Did I do something to bring this on? Hear them out, because you don't know. And Gillian brought up a very solid point. Okay. You don't know everything that they may have put on you in a curse. And a very dear friend of ours, I'm not going to say this person's name or even give gender. Okay. We've had an in-depth discussion about a return to sender. And she did some digging first and did not do it because of this statement right here of, man, I knew it, I cut it off or whatnot. I don't want to live with the idea that this person was in a car wreck. I don't want to live. And I believe that's, because of me, they attacked me first or whatnot, but I don't want to live with that, because I found out about it, had it cut, dealt with it, did whatever. So you know what? Bring it to an end and end it. So that's what I'm saying. We have to be careful with the return to sender things. It sounds so good. Okay. Or
It,
what you
it's painful.
first,
Yeah.
but we have to be careful about stepping into that spiritually,
Sure.
because we're supposed to wish back on them. Man, I hope you find peace. Hope you find joy. Is it easy? Not all the time.
I know.
Trust me.
I've been holding in this laughter now for a while, and I'm like really trying to pay attention to you, because Cynthia, I don't know if you mean to be.
Isn't that great?
Awesome. So the next time I come up with somebody, she says there's no reason for bullies. Just ask them for a strand of their hair, smile. that's that. I will not forget that one, Cynthia.
Yeah, no, that's good. It
Just
is.
ask them for a strand of their, may I have a strand of your hair?
Human emotions are here for a reason. We're supposed to get angry. We're supposed to get mad. We're supposed to get upset. Or guess what? Spirit would not have planted that in us. But one of the things I believe we're here is to learn to control it. That's one of our life lessons.
Supposed to let the emotions override us. When our emotions override us, it affects our parasympathetic nervous system. It affects our mitochondrial functions and so much more. But when we can learn to control our emotions, but not deny them, excuse me,
right,
control them, it gives us a stronger footing, and it lends itself for us attaining more wisdom and an ascension on our spiritual path even.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And folks, I want you to know, and again, I don't care who's a witch, who's not. Okay. And what that term means to you personally is all that matters. I'd say my wife's my little witch, because she can do some things or whatnot. But at the same point, I put my whole life in trust in her and her goodness. I've said, y'all have heard me declare her. She is an earth angel and just doesn't know it. All right. There are people like that. And she is so easy to turn a cheek. Now I know her on the inside. Yeah, she turned a cheek. She walked away. Let's see if you ever talk to her again. Okay. No, because she can very easily go, nope.
Yeah.
Not wishing you any will, but I'm not allowing that into my life. Your negativity does not go there. And Cindy Lou, I'm going to remember you at Christmas with my Cindy Lou Who Christmas card. from The
Yeah,
Grinch.
you
One of
know,
my favorite movies.
the mama bear that comes out, right? With
Yeah,
yeah, absolutely. Yep.
right. And that's it. And it's a learned response. It is a learned response. Let's see. Here we go. All right, all right, all right, all right. Everybody just lighten up on the old man.
So,
But yeah. So just
the
keep in
bottom
mind, we're giving you food for thought. What
and
you do with it is what you believe.
there's so many themes and variations, but look at your life, examine your life, what's working, what's not working, and ask the why and see what's going on in your outer circles. Like, who is there somebody in your life that may be negatively impacting you or positively impacting you? That there's so many theme and variations of all of this. But the bottom line is spellcasting, voodoo, black magic, all of these things can be very real and very harmful and quite dangerous as well.
Yeah.
But there are solutions to remove them. Cord cutting is one. We talk about that concept of cord cutting where you're going to disconnect your Aka cords from a certain person or place or whatever to remove yourself energetically from them. And that's another element that I know we're running out of time here, but that we can do as well. So there's a lot we can
Yeah.
do.
There's other things. And that's what I want people to start remembering. When you find out somebody's done this or they put something on you, in that return, remember this is now your opportunity, particularly if you are a healer, okay, to say, okay, somebody just presented themselves that they have something wrong. All right. I can either return their ill will back to them, or I can say, Spirit, I have no idea what's going on or what I did or why this is happening. All right. But as much that was wished on me, I want to triple that in love and hope they find peace. I want them to find their way. I'm asking the angels to go to them right now and help them find clarity or some type of peace. That's it. Okay. Once you start wishing stuff back on somebody, be careful. You're walking a fine line. That's all I'm love to see what's going on, or what's happening. I love tonight. I think y'all know me well enough to know I would never. Oh
No,
no,
of
I
course not.
don't think
Never
anybody in here would
that.
harm anybody. And I no, that's never been a thought. But I knew some people with their belief systems might be a little, whoa, he's coming at me. Not coming at you. I'm giving you food for thought. That's all I'm asking. Every action, and you know what? There are times I wish somebody, and my wife does it to me all the time, little Jiminy freaking cricket. Okay. And I go to react instead of respond. And there she is going, hey, was it really that bad? No, it's not. It's really not. When somebody treats you bad or somebody does things, one of the things I do try to remember now before, which is about responding rather than reacting. You don't know what they woke up to this morning.
True. Very
You
true.
don't know that their husband or spouse didn't just dump them, leave them. You don't know if they found out there's somebody's ill in their family or whatnot.
We
You know?
also are these patterns within a relationship that we have? Is there a contentious pattern that we need to resolve as well?
Yeah. And if that is a pattern in your relationship, then you need to address it.
Yeah.
It needs to be addressed.
Absolutely.
Okay. So anything else, let me see what we got here. So much is easily resolved with a well-placed, well, bless your heart. Oh, she's channeling my mother. Oh my God. Oh my God. Yeah. Bless your heart. My mother could tell you to go to hell so fast with a
Yep.
bless your heart.
And Lakeside Laura, what if there is no good reason? That's actually very true. There are just jerks out there in life, right?
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. It just,
And by the way, I'm going to be using Cynthia's advice about smiling and asking for a strand of hair.
yeah.
That'd be great if they're bald.
Oh, here we go.
Can I have arm hair, please?
I'll give you an ear hair, you know? I try to keep them trimmed. I am conscious about that.
I guess we're digressing. I don't know.
But... No, yeah, we're digressing. Ladies, if your husband's not trimming his ear hair, tell him the Reverend does and says, get off your butt, clean the ear hair, trim the nasal hair, and yeah, let's look presentable here. Okay. You know what's funny? Somebody very, very close to me, I'm not even going to point at him, is very heavy. And I got all over them. I don't care that you're heavy. Buy clothes that fit. Don't make fat people look bad, Don't, and I say that to everybody. Old guys, don't make other old guys look bad. All right?
Awesome.
So, we'll see what's happening. Oh, I'm getting so many nose hair.
But before we wrap up, I will not be here next week. So
absolutely.
I will be at the Journey to Truth conference. I hope everybody can tune in. The live stream passes $60 for every speaker, every presentation. It's going to be a really good week over there. So if you can, check that out. But I will not be here. Do we know what we're doing next week? Or
yes, we do. I have spoken to Hillis. Hillis Hugh is going to come on, and we are going to talk about omnism, what that is, what it means, and a new way and different way. A lot of y'all know Hillis. If you don't, y'all got to come check him out. Him and I have a great time together. He's my brother from another mother, and it's one of those things. So we have a good time. So yes.
Excellent.
So everybody check out. And Laura, where can they find the links to your thing?
On my website, scroll down to the bottom where there's some events, and it'll be there. And I show up on Sunday late afternoon, I think, in Grafton, Illinois. So super excited about that. Thank you all for listening. We really appreciate having you here.
Absolutely. And yes, the tribe, anybody who wants, I'll be doing this thing again with tarot cards and coming online or whatnot this Friday. So don't miss it. 8:30. Same bat time, same bat channel. All right.
Excellent.
So, as we said earlier, particularly tonight, take what you want, leave what you don't. But it is okay to leave with some peace, love, and light. Bang around.